Tonight, of course, we have, let me just kind of set the stage for what we've got going on tonight, because tonight is a very special night, David. Yeah. Very special.
Right.
The North Carolina Arts Council selected 5 traditional artist teams from Western North Carolina to receive the 3rd annual New North Carolina Appalachian Folk Life Apprentice Awards. Richard Bowman, who is on stage with us tonight, of Mount Airy, will mentor Chad Ritchie, who is here as well, of Taylorsville. We've had Chad on several times. In the old-time fiddle tunes he learned from his community in southwestern Virginia and the Round Peak area of North Carolina. Richard is among a shrinking number of his generation who grew up immersed in his region's music culture. Bowman is a highly regarded old-time and dance fiddler with first-place awards both in individual and band competitions at fiddlers conventions such as those at Galax, Mount Airy, and Fiddler's Grove. His band, the Slate Mountain Ramblers, has been a mainstay of North Carolina's old-time dance and festival culture for 3 decades. Bowman will teach in the traditional way that he learned, by ear, knee to knee, at full speed. That's the only way, isn't it, Richard?
Richard's got the fine-looking hair, right?
He does.
Yes.
So, Chad, let me just turn it over to you, and you take it away, and we've also got another special. We'll talk about him later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Danny.
Thank you.
Yeah, you say learn knee to knee at full speed. When I met Richard a long time back, I was asking him to show me a tune, and I said, "Can you slow it down?" He said,
No.
"Nope, that ain't how I learned it. If you don't get it this time, you can get it next time." So,
All right. I've been playing, I guess, the fiddle about 49 years, and when I started playing, there was about 10 fiddlers that I could get to in about maybe 30 or 40 minutes from where I lived in Patrick County, just across the line out of Surrey County, in Patrick County, Virginia. And all of the tunes that I still play is the tunes that I learned from them, all them fiddlers back then. And it was a lot of them. And when we go play, I still don't ever get around to playing all the tunes that I learned. But anyway, we'll start out here talking about some of the fiddlers. We'll start out with Tommy Jarrell. I did learn to play Rockin' Hamm Cindy from him, and he'd sit and play it, and he finally told me one day after about 6 months, said, "You finally learned it like it's supposed to be played." So that's a tune we'll play right now.
Awesome. What is it about that music? It just makes people smile. I was looking out in the audience and
Good dancing, Donnie.
It's just a happy time when you're playing and dancing, that's for sure.
I'm telling you, that's as good as it gets.
Yeah, yeah. We'll go on down the line here and talk about the next person I guess I met. After we got to Grand, I tried to sit down and remember which fiddlers I met along in the line, and it was a guy that lived down at Patrick Springs, which was down in the lower end of Patrick County, Virginia. His name was Cowboy Hilton, and we'll play a little bit of this tune. It was called Richmond. It ain't just exactly like the Richmond that most everybody plays, but it's the way he played it, and it's the way I learned to play it. You want to do it on the banjo, Robbie? Or? Yeah. Okay. This is my wife back here playing the bass, and we've been married, I guess, going on close to 45 years. So she's tagged along with me most all them years playing, and we have one daughter, and she most of the time plays the banjo, but she was busy at work today and couldn't get off to come. So Robbie, I'll let Chad talk about Robbie just a little bit, if he will. It's his friend that he's been playing a lot with.
Yeah, I met Robbie, I guess, about 4 or 5 years ago. He wanted to learn to play some guitar, and I showed him a few chords, and he picked right up on it pretty good. And we just called him the other day and said, "Marcia can't make it. Can you come play?" I guess I can. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we appreciate him helping, that's for sure. He's like a mockingbird. He can sing most anything. It's amazing how he can keep them words in his head. But anyway, what else you want to try right there?
Play that Ivan Weddle tune, that the Long Tongue
A
Woman.
little bit of the Long Tongue Woman. Ivan Weddle was a fellow that I met, lived in Floyd, Virginia. And on Sunday afternoons, they always had music out at Mayberry Mill on the Parkway there at Mazepdan. We'd all gather up. The music started at 2 o'clock, and I'd get up. I'd be up there by 12 o'clock. I couldn't stand it not to be there, to try to learn all them tunes I could. But he played a tune he called the Long Tongue Woman. And his wife's name was Hallie, and he'd always look around, see where she was a-sitting when when somebody would want him to play that, just picking at her. But he was, I guess he was about 80 years old when I learned this tune from him. So been has already made a long round already between him and myself, but a little bit of the Long-Tongued Woman. Well, I do play a few slow tunes, so we'll play a tune called Annie Laurie, maybe?
Yeah, we do.
Do Annie Laurie. I learned this tune off of a fellow that lived over near Roanoke, Virginia, lived at Boone's Mill. And him and his wife played. He played the fiddle and she played the guitar. They'd been coming around to the conventions when I got, started early on, and he played a lot of waltz tunes, and this is one of the tunes that he did play.
Nice.
All right. I've been really fortunate. I've met some amazing people in my life that plays music. And of course, there's people that don't play, like Donnie there. He always comes around and dances. But it's amazing what the music community around everywhere is. There's just so many, most of them nice folks. You know, they free with their music. You know, they'll help you if you want to learn, or you know, you can just, you know, get where they're at and just play if you can play. Most of them don't seem to mind any of that. Well, if I could see my paper laying down way down yonder on the floor, we'd play another tune or two.
You did Caleb Campbell tune, that old Arts of Moving?
Yeah. Yeah, Mr. Campbell. Mr. Campbell lived up at Laurel Fork. All of this stuff, all these people live within 40 miles. Most of them weren't like 20 miles apart. But they lived Surrey County, Patrick County, Virginia, North Carolina line. All of them knowed one another, but they wasn't a whole lot of ways to travel back them days. It don't seem like it's, you know, that it wasn't, but back then it wasn't as easy to get, you know, 30, 40 miles as it is today. But most of them knowed one another, but a lot of them played the same tunes, and then a lot of them played tunes that some of the other fiddlers had never heard before, and they even played in different chords. I know the Sheilers played, and they had Clarice Sheeler. She played the piano with them, so they played a lot of C and F tunes, and it's tunes that we all play in D and A chord a lot of times, but that was just an easy chord, I guess, on the piano maybe to play. But this tune that Mr. and Ms. Campbell played is called "The Old Art is Moving."
Awesome.
Yeah, you want to sing a little?
You want to do what, Susan Abigail?
Yeah, if you want to.
Let's do it again.
Thank
now, oh Susanna. I'm going western country now, oh Susanna gal. It's how do you make your living now, oh Susanna? Drinking whiskey and playing cards, oh Susanna gal. Yeah, can't stay here if you don't shuck corn, Susanna. Can't stay here if you don't shuck corn, Susanna gal. It's rocking to an ocean now, oh Susanna. It's rocking to an ocean now, oh Susanna gal.
Thank you, Donnie.
Some mighty fine dancing over
That
there
is some
too.
mighty fine dancing, Donnie. Donnie Klein, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, good job. Even Kathy Wicker liked it. Said, "Go Donnie."
He just makes the music sound better.
It does. Richard, were most of these tunes, do you think, originated in the area, or did they come from maybe Great Britain, or?
I don't know. I know Mr. Sheeler and Mr. Kimball and Mr. Weddle that lived right there kind of together. They were in their 70s and 80s when I was learning those tunes, and after I got acquainted with them and learned a lot of those tunes, and they hadn't been in the Army, so they hadn't been out of that community.
Gotcha.
And so I don't know where they picked those tunes up from. I know some of the others that lived like in Surrey County. I know people like Ernest East, and some of them had been different places. At times, for a year or two at a time, and they could have picked up tunes, but even the people that I just mentioned, they only lived just a few miles apart. There's an actual album of the Sheelers and the Kimballs, and the title of it is 8 Miles Apart. And that's how close they all lived together, and they played in different chords on the fiddles, different tunings, and a tune like we just played, Susanna Gale or Western Country, most all the bands around plays it, but then there was tunes that they played that the other didn't play. So I don't know where they got those tunes from. And I wasn't worried too much about it. I was just trying to learn the tune, and still not, after 49 years, I still don't try to, research and see where some of those tunes come from.
Were most of the dancers like flat-footing like Donnie?
Yes.
All of them?
Yes, yeah. There was hardly any clogging until the later years, within the last 20 years. In the last 20 years, it went from flat-footing and dancing similar to Donnie to clogging and buck dancing.
Interesting.
And all of the older people still dance like they did, but then the younger people coming along, it was like they would get up a little group and it was just a different way of dancing that wasn't when I first started playing. But I mean, we played for a lot of it, but
Yeah.
but it was fun. It was fun to watch them. They wear them big frilly dresses and
Oh, yeah.
do the routines, and it was really nice to watch them dance. Still is, what few there is left. What else, Chad?
Well, you mentioned Ernest East. You want to play the Stagger League?
Yeah, it's in D, isn't it? Yeah. This was a tune that Ernest East played. He was a Surrey County fiddler, and his son played the guitar and sang, really good singer, and his wife, Patsy, they played around, and then and Max Snow was a guitar player, and him and Scotty sang a lot of stuff. They was really good singing together, as when they done a lot of their shows. But this is one of the tunes that Ernest kind of made famous that everybody really likes, called Stagger League.
Take my life. I've got 3 little children, had a darling loving wife. Talk about a bad man, that mean old Stagger League. Your children don't care about your wife. You stole my hat, now his wife bound to take your life. Talk about a bad man, that mean old Stagger League.
Richard, did all the old timers you learned from, did they hold the fiddle down like y'all were doing?
Not a one of them.
Really?
Not a one of them did.
Okay.
And I didn't to start with. We got to playing for dances about a year or so. No, after I got started playing, I got to playing for square dances and stuff. And then they played from 8 to midnight. They played 4 hours.
Ooh.
And it was one band, and just take a little break in the middle. And I was up here like most everybody is, and I reckon I just was tense and stuff, and I kept on till I bruised my tonsil. And it all swelled up, and I was, dances and stuff was still happening, and I dropped it down there with intentions of going back, when the soreness kind of left, but it never did. I never did get back under my chin with it. It was just so comfortable to play, for me then. So,
And now your student Chad is playing just like you.
yeah, yeah.
I ended up with frozen shoulder, and I couldn't get my fiddle up there, so I had to play here. So I guess maybe it's just injuries.
That's crazy. I mean, 4 hours is that's a long gig.
And all of the places back then played 4 hours. They played from 8 to midnight.
Wow.
Patrick Springs, down there, the VFW, they had dances every week, and they would be, like 300 people. And you go down in the basement to get you a drink or cookie or something other, and if they was dancing upstairs, the floor was just breathing. It's amazing that the building stood it, but they had dances there for many, many years. And a lot of the local bands, the bands that played, they had some really good kind of bluegrass country bands, there too.
Mm-hmm.
That they would, they would switch it around. They was like maybe 3 old-time bands, wasn't it? I think it was maybe 3 or 4 old-time bands, and then there was a couple of country bands that played, but even the country bands had fiddlers in them, for the square dances.
What year do you think that started fading out? In the 70s?
No, not until about maybe 20 years ago.
Okay.
And the people that was working it, the members, had kind of got old, and the younger people wasn't, helping with it, and they just had to kind of, do away with it. So.
Got you.
But they had some good dances there for many, many years. All of the local rescue squads and fire departments then and all around everywhere had the dances and things, to collect money to pay for their ambulances and fire trucks and stuff.
Right.
And, that's kind of the way they funded some of that stuff. But what else, Chad?
Oh my gosh. You gonna do that, Yalla Cat?
Yeah. This is a tune come from Walter Morris, just lived right across the line there at Hillsville, Virginia. He was the oldest person that I met when I was meeting all of them guys. And he played, and their band name was the Pine River Boys and Maybelle. And they played all of the fiddlers conventions and stuff, and they played this tune in the contest a bunch and win, first, second, or third place, just every time they would play. And Walter, he was a really good fiddler. He didn't know a great amount of tunes that he played, but he knew quite a bit. But compared to the fiddlers nowadays, he probably knowed about half of what we would now. But see that they all had jobs. They just did that, on the weekends. A little bit of the Yeller Cat. Thank you.
We'll do a quick shout out right quick to some of our out of town visitors this evening from the Phillips Company. Raise your hand if you're in town from the Phillips Company, or if I guess they're watching. And also some listeners on Facebook. Martha Harris says, "Hey, Dancing Donnie." Diane Overcash, "I'm going to try that position with my fiddle. My fiddle teacher will scream." There you go. Don Clark says, "So good." Diane Overcash says, "Fine dancing." And Jared Alexander was saying this earlier. I'd tell the boy but he's here at home. Kathy Wicker, go Donnie. Let's see. Enjoying the storytelling too, from Willa Hughley. And Zoe Boston, me and Dad are enjoying this while hitting some softballs. Amazing. And enjoying the show at Wrightsville Beach while on spring break. Great job, says Pat Hyatt.
Nice.
And Rick Butler. Jared, they're fiddling around Statesville tonight. Very good. Oh, and also, if y'all were, hopefully y'all filled out your tickets here to win tickets to Merle Fest. We're giving away two sets of tickets. And maybe we might give away one on our audience online if Richard comes up with a good question to ask. A good trivia question. Either Richard. Hey, Mr. Richard. How about do you have a good trivia question that might stump our listeners on Facebook that whoever comes up with the answer wins two tickets to Merle Fest? Think about it. Or you could think about it. We can get it later, but whatever you can come up with.
I got one.
Okay.
What's the difference between a fiddle and a violin?
Oh,
That's an excellent question.
there you go. There's your question out there on Facebook land. What's the difference between a
Chad,
fiddle and
how
a
long
violin?
does the mentoring go on?
So it goes for 12 months.
1 year.
Yeah. We started in July, and actually we started in June. We was kind of anxious to get started. So from July to June. So, yeah, we're maybe a little over halfway through it. And it's been a great experience to learn a lot of these tunes and where they came from. And
That's awesome.
yeah.
Awesome
Very good,
opportunity
Chad. That is
that you guys got together.
Yeah.
It's great. And I believe you said some of the collaboration is on YouTube. How would we find it?
Yeah, you can just search my name on YouTube. Or
Okay,
North
Chad
Carolina-
Ritchie.
Chad Ritchie on YouTube, yeah, or North Carolina Folklife Apprenticeship. I got a playlist on there where I've kept a list of all the videos and all the times together.
You just kind of skip over that penitentiary part. You know,
The
just go-
penitentiary part?
go on
Okay.
by that.
We'll skip that.
I think we have a winner for our trivia. Actually, we had two different answers, but one's from Jimmy Ball. I wonder if he's eligible. Figured he would know the answer. He says Saturday night and Sunday morning. One has strings, one has strings.
Strings.
There you go.
Yeah, that's a Carson Peters answer.
Yeah.
That's good, man. So you got 2 tickets to Merle Fest.
Nice.
All right.
All right.
How about we play Loudest Ending?
All right.
That's a good
We
one.
switched chords. We got over here and retuned. That's another thing I'll mention. All of those fiddlers that I learned to play from, they all played similar tunes at times, but they tuned different. Ernest and Benton and some of them Surrey County people, they tuned standard, EADG, and Tommy was right in the middle of them, and they all kind of played some of the same tunes, and he played. I don't know if I guess it'd be the high bass would be the D part,
Yeah.
wouldn't it?
Run
Run
the G string
his
up.
G string up, and then when they're playing tunes like we're going to play here in just a second, it's the way the fiddle is tuned is EA. But the ones that didn't tune like that could play the same tunes. You know, they just had to add an extra note or two, sometimes 2 notes actually. I guess it took a lot of the finger work out of the fiddling, and when you tuned up high, it makes the fiddle sound better. If it's a low sounding, kind of a low tone fiddle, it's not got a lot of volume. When you run them 2 top strings up, it adds volume to the fiddle overall. But that's the way we're tuned, and we're going to play a little bit of the Loudest Ending.
This is one Richard plays a lot in contests.
Awesome.
All right, thank you very much. What else, Chad?
Oh, what time we got?
You got about 15 minutes or so.
Has everybody got their name in the pot? Okay, let's quickly do a drawing for another pair of Merle Fest tickets.
That'd be
Robbie,
good.
if you'll do the
And we actually had a few more answers on this fiddle difference. Mr. Rick Butler says, that's the difference. Okay, let me go back to what he said.
Donnie Klein.
Wasn't it? All right, Donnie Klein. He won the ticket. Very good, Donnie. All right. So,
He says give it to somebody else. Should we draw again?
Well, if he doesn't want them,
Do you want?
I don't. I'm gonna volunteer. I'll be there anyway.
hey, Chad, maybe you can answer this too. Go ahead and pull another one.
I'm gonna keep this. This is his autograph.
There you go.
Kayla Childers.
Kayla Childers. All right. That's Tate Childers' mom. Childers' mom. So Rick Butler says the guy playing the fiddle is smiling. That's the difference between the fiddle and the violin.
That's a very good observation.
And then Ryan Navy says you sell a violin, but you buy a fiddle.
There you go.
Which one's right, Chad? I don't know.
They're all right.
Okay. And then we got one actually from Uncle Google, but it's a long answer, so we'll probably pass that one. Marsha Harris, thank you for that anyway, and Patty Lohman. Oh, well, Marsha Harris says, hello to Richard and Barbara. Hope to see you at the festival this year. Sorry I haven't met the other fellas, but hello to them too. Lots of questions, lots of responses on Facebook. So I'll go back and see those.
I assume Mount Airy's going on this year,
Yep,
and you will be there.
yep, sure will.
What's the dates on that?
So it's always the first full weekend in June. It's the
First-
first full Friday and Saturday.
First
Gotcha.
full rainy weekend in
Yeah,
First
it always
full
rains.
rainy
It does
weekend.
seem to rain.
June 3rd and 4th.
June 3rd and 4th.
All right. Want to do a little bit of John Henry?
Yeah.
Which one?
Do the newer one. I think Robbie could sing on that one.
Not in A.
There's a lot of John Henrys.
Yeah.
Oh, too high.
There's at least two of them.
Yeah.
I learned John Henry to start with, and then sometime down the road, I heard Tommy playing it, and he played it a little different. Is that the way you want to play it?
Yeah, we can play it that
Tommy
way.
played it? It's just a little bit of difference.
That's a good version. I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, I think they call that the old time John Henry.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was the Tommy Jarrell version. I don't know where he got that tune from. Yeah. Yeah.
This fiddle here is one that Richard had made.
Richard made that.
Richard made this. I guess he's made,
4.
34.
I think the one Ryan's got's 34.
yeah. This one's 33, and I think Ryan Navy there has got number 34.
Oh, okay. Nice.
And it's made from old cherry. You know, most people that makes violins and fiddles, they make them out of maple neck, back and sides with a spruce top. And I think I've made 34, and I've made them out of everything. I've made them out of all kind of wood, and the last two I made was this one was a cherry one, and the other one was a walnut one.
That's really nice looking.
Very nice. So just black cherry, native
Yeah,
cherry?
there was a guy had cut a big old cherry tree and a walnut tree down, and he made some mantles out of the walnut, and he made some benches to sit on his porch out of the cherry. And one of them had been sitting there for many years, and it was sitting over again the corner, and the rain had blowed in on one end of it and kind of boogered it up and but the other end of it was okay, and I got it and just made that fiddle out of it.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
Just whittled it out with your knife.
Whittled it out.
Yeah. Is this true? Martha Harris says the difference between the fiddle and the violin is the nut behind the bow.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Very good. Roger
I've been-
Miller, great music.
I've been called all kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Another thing, there's always people asking why I don't put tags on the end of my tunes, and I do some, and some I put a shuffle on the front part of the tunes. But if we had a fiddler's convention, I do put a shuffle on the front and a tag on the end. The judges, I guess, kind of frowns down on some of that stuff. If you don't end, everybody does, but just about all of the people that I learned from, they just started out playing the tune, and some of the tunes I do put an ending on, and some of them I just cut off. It's just according to what tune I'm playing, and some tunes it's easier to do that, you know. So some tunes has got endings on them, and some of them just got, you just quit, you know.
Ri-
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Richard, maybe for the uninitiated, give us the meaning and maybe a demonstration of a quote tag.
Oh, it's in that D chord, doesn't it?
Oh,
In
yeah.
A chord. And then you start the tune.
Got you.
If I was at a fiddler's convention, that's the way I would start it and end it. But playing some of them tunes like John Henry, I just start them. And then when I get to the end, I just cut it off. I don't put no
tag.
no tag on
Got
it.
a different sound to cut it off so we know.
Uh,
You got a different sound so that you can hear.
yeah.
Thank you.
What do you want to try right there? John Brown's Dream?
Let's do John Brown's Dream. The first time I heard Richard and the Slate Mountain Ramblers, they played at a fiddle convention that is playing John Brown's Dream, and I ain't never heard such a powerful sound. People came up and was dancing, and I said, I got to learn to play some fiddle like that. So, let's
John
play
Brown's Dream.
John Brown's Dream.
John Brown's Dream.
We'll play another old tune here. It ain't got no words to it, I don't reckon. It's called the Old Bunch of Keys.
Whole bunch of cheese.
Old Bunch of Keys.
That too. Patty Loman says, "Wow, that's awesome. The dancing puts the icing on the cake."
It does.
Good job there, Donnie.
Richard, you and I were talking before the show saying that the music is sort of continuing with the younger folks, but the dancing is dying out.
Yeah.
And the whole reason for the music was the dancing. Is that correct?
Yeah, sure
Yep.
was. My daddy and mama, they both played music, and I was the last kid out of 8 of us. And I was probably 15 years old before I knew that my mom and daddy could play music.
Wow.
There was no instruments in our house. Daddy said when him and mama got married that he quit playing. He said then, I don't know if it was like that everywhere, but he said the people around in the community, it was a farming community, orchards and tobacco. He said people looked down on people that played music. They was lazy, wanting to support their families and stuff.
What?
I couldn't imagine it being like that, but he said that was the way it was.
Wow.
And I was probably 15 years old before I realized that Mom and Daddy could even play. My daddy played the clawhammer banjo, and him and Mama both played the alto harp. And, you know, I would get him, when I got learned to play and was playing and had instruments, I would beg him to play. And he'd take a banjo and just play a little bit, he said my hands have done got stiff. I can't get them notes in there. So I don't even have a recording, of him and Mom. Well, I do have, I think, a recording of Mama playing, but I never did get a recording of him. But I couldn't imagine it being like that. But that's just the way things was, I guess, around them days. But
Yeah.
But anyway, Old Bunch of Keys.
Yeah.
We'll play this old tune called Chilly Winds. That was a good fiddler's convention tune that a lot of the older fiddlers used to play it around in the competition and contests.
10 or 15 more?
As many as you want to do.
There you go. Gary Herman says, very nice. Go, Robbie Herman, my son. No pressure.
There's a lot of them old tunes out there, that's for sure, and I hope since Chad's got to working on it here, it's brought a lot of them back to the front in my mind, I know, since we've been kind of doing some of this stuff. I hadn't forgotten none of that stuff, I just hadn't talked about none of it in a long, long time. Because most of those folks has been gone a pretty good while.
Yeah.
I'm glad Chad's picking it up, him and Robbie, and taking it on.
It's awesome that you two have gotten together and that Chad's carrying on the tradition.
Yep.
And, you
Yep.
know, that's awesome. Have you got one more for us?
Yeah, what you want?
Jump trouble. Ernest is up to trouble.
Is that like Hill Among the Round Pickers? Oh, yeah. Same thing.
What are we going out with?
Barbara called it Jump Trouble. I've heard some other folks call it that. I think Ernest called it, was it Hell Among the Round Pickers?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's a peculiar little tune, but it's a good one, yeah.
All right.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thanks, David, for the sound.
Want to thank you guys so much for coming. Donnie Klein, Chad Ritchie, Richard Bowman and wife, and Robbie Herman. Thank you guys so much for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Yep, thank y'all. And before we end the show, let's see what the Amy Queen Chapin did with her painting. It's amyqueenchapinart.com. There it is right here, this camera. Very nice. Oh, you even got Donnie dancing in there. How'd you get him to stand still long enough?
Donnie, you're immortalized.
Yeah. Very good, Amy. amyqueenchapinart.com. Check her out. And another round of applause. Thank y'all so much for coming out, and we'll hope to see y'all next time real soon.
Thank y'all very much.
I'm sure we'll see Chad probably in a couple weeks or so. Yeah. He's become a real staple here, but we always enjoy having him. Always great. And also thank y'all for tuning in on our Piedmont Folkways Facebook page and on our radio, 92.9 FM, 550 AM WAME radio.